My name is Hans Nikolai Adam, and I am a senior research scientist at the Norwegian Institute for Water Research based in Oslo. And we have been leading the Indo-Norwegian capacity building program against plastic and chemical pollution. And in today's session, we are going to give you some glimpses of the work that we have been doing over the last several years, and also give a broad introduction of our approach, of the partners, and of course of the partnership under which this project falls. So may I invite first, Mr. Andreas Schei from the Norwegian Embassy, Councillor for Environment, to have a seat on the dais. And we are just waiting for... Oh, I see. Okay. I'm so sorry. Yes, and may I also invite Mr. Paranandini from the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Climate Change to also have a seat on the dais. Thank you so much for coming on time. Yes, so dear colleagues, dignitaries on the dais, and friends, whom I can see plenty of in this audience. The INOPOL project that I just introduced, it's a consortium that is comprised of MuGamma consultants, Toxics Link, SRM University, and CPAT. So it's a group, a diverse group of academic, science-based and NGO-based institutions. And we have been basically starting to work in the INOPOL project since 2020. So this is a very long-running collaboration that is being anchored under the Indo-Norwegian Marine Pollution Initiative, which is the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Climate Change, and the Royal Norwegian Embassy in New Delhi. And basically, what is the rationale, the fundamental rationale of the work that we are doing? So basically in this project, we are responding to a need. And that is an environmental need to address interlinked environmental challenges stemming from chemical and plastic pollution. And we just had a workshop yesterday actually to discuss some of these potential implications of, for instance, persistent organic pollutants. And that's a cross-boundary, trans-boundary challenge. So what happens in India can potentially affect what is happening in Norway, and vice versa. And similarly, there has been, for instance, the Global Plastic Treaty. There has been a lot of international attention to solving this problem. But at the same time, there has been some challenges in the multilateral context in terms of framing the Global Plastic Treaty, which is still ongoing. But parallelly in this process, we have been working on the ground through this bilateral project. So what is our approach and what do we do? The key component of this project is that we are science-based. So we provide science-based knowledge for input to policy processes. And it's a very empirical project as well, which means that we are out in the field as a consortium. We interact with different stakeholders from the local level, state level, to the national level, and try to connect these different dots. So when it comes to the chemical pollution part, for instance, we have been doing research across a matrix of different, of biota, of soil, of water, and air, which we have been analyzing in river catchments. When it comes to the plastic pollution side, we have been instituting monitoring programs. In the first phase, this was in Gujarat, where we've been working in Damanganga and Tapi rivers. And this was during the COVID time. So we did manage to actually do some field work, but it was a bit more limited. And more recently, over the last 3 years, we have been employing our river monitoring methodologies and also our chemical pollution analysis in the Kaveri catchment in Tamil Nadu. And what we are also trying to connect here is the natural science component with the social science component. So we have been specifically looking at gender aspects of pollution. We have been specifically looking at the informal waste sector. And we have been also trying to link that to global policy processes. And basically, as part of this project, we have done that for 2 states. So as I mentioned, the Kaveri catchment, Damanganga and Tapi, So in the first phase, from 2020 to 23, we've been working in Gujarat, and we have been releasing roadmaps for these states when it comes to chemical and plastic pollution. In the present phase, we have been working more centrally in Tamil Nadu. And and it's sometimes, difficult to, especially in a European context, to, of course, understand the scope of, or the size of an Indian state. Tamil Nadu is basically the size of a Germany, and it's one of the fastest growing states in India. So there's been an industrial boom. So it's been becoming a much, much more wealthy state, and there's been a lot of positive developments. At the same time, there's a lot of environmental challenges. And these are also very much concentrated around the riverine catchment areas. So we've been kind of placing our project in this context. So over the last 3 or so years, we have been producing, I think, more than 30 plus scientific publications just in this project phase. This is articles, this is reports, this is policy briefs, which we disseminate, of course, to the policy community. We've been also training people from the pollution control boards, people from scientific institutions, and also universities on the latest kind of methods and methodologies when it comes to plastic and chemical analysis. We have also been providing modeling tools, which are publicly accessible, and we can share the information on that with you later, which any of you can access, actually, both for the Kaveri catchment and the Damanganga and Tapi catchment. And of course, throughout this period, we have been engaging with key stakeholders. Yesterday, we just came back from one such workshop, where we tried to get industry players, private players, NGOs, and government actors, for instance, from the Pollution Control Board, together. And of course, we are here today to release 2 of these reports, which are kind of the penultimate summary of the work that we've been doing in Tamil Nadu. So one is a roadmap for plastic pollution in Tamil Nadu, and one is a roadmap for chemical pollution in Tamil Nadu. And I'm very proud and happy that our consortium managed to do that. The Norwegian embassy in Delhi has been extremely supportive throughout the entire period, including through difficult phases such as COVID, and also the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Climate Change, both at the central level and at the state level, who have been extremely supportive of our work. So for instance, they have also deputed some of their scientists to come to Norway to study with us in our labs. Yes, and basically about the program today, we are actually released, we're going to have the report releases, but we also created a more visual identity of the project through some short videos where we want to showcase the work that we have been doing and how we work. And I hope this gives you, everyone in the audience, a better picture of this project and the collaboration. Yes, so with that, I thank all of you for coming. I can see it's a full room, so there's a great interest in this, and I hope that you walk out of this room having learned something new from the project. And thank you also to all of the project partners who are also here in good numbers, and of course the embassy and the ministry who is also here today. And with that, I wish you a good session, and I hand over the word to Andreas Schei, the Environment Councillor. And just one change in the program. We just received the message that Dr. Ramanamurthy, who was supposed to join us here today as well, has been called for an urgent meeting from the Ministry of Earth Sciences. But he sends his wishes also and apologies that he couldn't make it today. So with that, I hand over to you, Andreas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hans. Well, friends and colleagues, Director, it's a privilege and a pleasure to speak to you and to the INOPOL collective here today. Now, let me start by saying this. We are grateful for the excellent cooperation with the Ministry of Environment, Climate and Forest through the Joint Working Group on Environment and the India-Norway Marine Pollution Initiative. Now, allow me to paint a bit of a backdrop on the India-Norway partnership before the colleagues from INOPOL get into the really interesting stuff. Hans has already lifted the curtain a bit on this, but we have, as the rationale behind this, the India-Norway Marine Pollution Initiative. That is an integral part of the bilateral agreement between the governments of India and Norway on ocean dialogue. For the past 7 years, we have had fruitful cooperation to promote ocean cooperation and develop the blue economy. So this initiative supports projects that are innovative, catalytic, and collaborative, with the goal to reduce marine litter and other pollutants, and at the same time to foster more sustainable waste management practices and circular economy. The initiative contributes to UN Sustainable Development Goal 14 on life below water, and specifically its target 14.1, to prevent and significantly reduce marine pollution of all kinds. In the first phase of the initiative, which ended in 2025, we have had 5 different projects that have done great work on different aspects of plastic and marine pollution. This includes circular economy, waste management, co-processing of plastic waste in cement production, monitoring chemical and plastic waste in rivers, and encouraging voluntary citizen participation in plastic cleanups in rivers and beaches. So the aim is to cover the full cycle of plastic and marine pollution. I'm very happy to say that the project steering committee of the initiative decided that the Marine Pollution Initiative should be extended into a second phase starting last year. That means we can scale up, continue to share evidence-based practices, and support more partners in turning this knowledge into action. Norway believes that coming together to share tools and share knowledge across borders is key to fighting marine pollution at a large scale. Now a few words about the INOPOL project. This is a great example where smart minds from both our countries have come together to address an important environmental challenge. NIVA, MuGamma, Toxics Link, SRM University, and CPAT are world-class technical institutions with specific skill sets to better understand chemical and marine pollution. And monitoring and analysis of pollution is important to enable policymakers to make wise decisions on management and on policy. Now, INOPOL has delivered methods, baseline data, and training programs in the states of Gujarat and Tamil Nadu, as Hans mentioned. And recently, Uttarakhand, where I just as recently as yesterday participated in a consultation meeting that Hans also mentioned with the State Pollution Control Board and other stakeholders, and where a brand new report from Toxics Link on the status of persistent organic pollutions in that state was mentioned or presented. It's important to note that we appreciate that INOPOL does not only have a research component, but the capacity building component as well, where pollution regulators from India have been trained on monitoring and analysis of microplastic, macroplastic, and persistent organic pollutants. So in short, this project has delivered, in our view, significant support to India's plastic and chemical pollution policies on state and national level. It has offered shared knowledge, shared tools, and alignment of environmental objectives. It is therefore my pleasure to announce here and now that the Embassy intends to continue to support INOPOL in a new project phase, to form part of the new phase of the India-Norway Marine Pollution Initiative. So we will discuss the modalities of a third phase in the coming months, but we are happy to have this work continue in the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andreas, and also for the trust and confidence that you have in our work. And we are very much looking forward to have this third phase of INOPOL and continue working together with all of these stakeholders. Now I would also like to invite Dr. Girija Bharat to the dais. She is the India lead for the INOPOL project, and a key collaborator, not just for this project, but also in India-Norway relations. So we have been working together also since 2020. So a big round of applause to Dr. Girija. And may I also invite you, Girija, to also share a few words.
Thank you very much. Good morning, rather good afternoon, all the dignitaries on the stage and off the dais. It has been a wonderful journey for us with Norwegian collaboration for several years. 15 years for me, and this INOPOL started in 2019 and it took off during the COVID years. We did well, not just well, but we did contribute a lot to the policy support, the knowledge support, and skill building activities of India, specifically pollution control boards of several states, primarily Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Uttarakhand, and several others. And I'm extremely thankful to our very smart, very knowledgeable and strong collaborators, as Mr. Andreas just mentioned. It was not possible to take forward this project in difficult times, difficult terrains, and extremely thankful to the Norwegian Embassy for this support and the trust which we have got, not just now, but several years. I am sure we will continue the good work which we have been doing. Ministry of Environment, Forest, Climate Change has been extremely supportive and has been motivating us to do really, really good work, which leads to several policy action, not just at the central level, but also at the state levels. This has been a capacity building for us also, our young scholars, our researchers, and several of us who have really done a lot of research in the past. 3 to 4 decades of research, there was so much of learning and so much of unlearning to be done. Marine litter has been really prime focus, but there is much more beyond that. As Hans mentioned, the gender aspects. We have mostly been ignoring the gender aspects, but through this, it has actually opened our eyes to several dimensions of gender aspects which we were not paying attention to. Several reports, several policy briefs, strategy documents we have brought out. Norwegian Institute for Water Research, NIVA, has led the project, and thanks to all of your able guidance and collaboration, we have immensely benefited from this. So going forward, we want to take it forward with much more fortified way. So because we have AI, we are wanting to integrate artificial intelligence in several of our activities. And we know PFAS has been a very important aspect, and now the government of India is also rising to the issues and challenges of PFAS in drinking water. We are going to explore how we can incorporate artificial intelligence and have some PFAS observatory or something similar to that, where INOPOL project could benefit and the government of India could benefit from our research findings. With this, I will not take much of our time. There are so many talks lined up here, and we have a very interesting panel of senior experts who will share the knowledge and as we go during the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Girija. And now I would like Nehal, if you could please play a video message. So we also got a special message for the project and for this collaboration from Norway's Minister of Climate and Environment, Mr. Andreas Eriksen, who was so kind to take the time to also give his thoughts on the project as well. So I may please request to play that video.
Dear everyone, it's a great honor for me to talk to all of you at the 25th World Sustainable Development Summit. Norway, we truly value the long-term partnership that we have together with Indian authorities and together with India on marine litter issues. Through the INOPOL projects, we are working together to get a better understanding of the challenges facing us, getting a better understanding of the situation in Indian rivers. And I want to thank the partners that we are working together with in India, such as MuGamma Consultants, Toxics Links, SRM, and CIPET for the valuable insights that you give to us as policymakers. We also have a truly great collaboration together with the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. And I also want to thank the state authorities of Tamil Nadu and Uttarakhand for the efforts that you put into this work. No country can solve the challenges we face on marine litter or on plastics alone. We need to work together. And therefore, I am very glad that we have extended our marine litter initiative until 2030. We continue to work together to both get the knowledge we need and to find the solutions that we need. And I hope this is something that we can highlight during the Indo-Nordic Summit hosted by Norway later this year. Thank you and very much good luck with it.
Thank you. And we also have a video message from Ms. Supriya Sahu, additional Chief Secretary for Tamil Nadu State, and the head of the Ministry of Environment and Forest Department in Tamil Nadu, who has also been following the project very closely and who has been very supportive of our work in the Kaveri catchment. So may I please request to play this video as well?
Greetings everyone. On this occasion, when MuGamma Consultants are releasing two important reports for the state of Tamil Nadu on the issue of tackling the persistent plastic pollution, I would like to highlight the importance of such in-depth, science-backed and data-rich studies for a state where we have been pioneers in banning single-use plastic. We were the first state in 2018 to ban plastic, the single-use plastic products, and till today we have been implementing it with a lot of commitment, dedication and involvement. So these kind of reports which help the state government in looking at the scenario and looking at the big picture would go a long way in strengthening our resolve to ban plastic pollution in the state of Tamil Nadu. On this occasion, I would like to congratulate all the stakeholders, including MuGamma Consultants, the Government of Norway, Government of Tamil Nadu, and the stakeholders under the INOPOL project for such insightful work that they have been doing. Nandri.
Very encouraging words from Ms. Supriya Sahu. And now, you've been hearing a lot of snippets of keywords, microplastic, macroplastic, POPs, persistent organic pollutants, interlinkages. But we want to also show you a little bit more of how this work looks like in practice. We have been spending, for instance, just on the microplastic monitoring in the Kaveri, 4 field campaigns, which is basically in total a month just in the field, covering a stretch of 500 kilometers. And the chemical pollution research was also located along a similar stretch. So there's been a lot of work, a lot of being in the field and standing actually on very hot bridges that went into the kind of findings which also Ms. Supriya Sahu insinuated on the single-use plastic bans. How do we actually check policy compliance? How much of single-use plastic ban items was found in the rivers? So may I request Neha to please play a brief documentary that summarizes some of the work.
India's 7,500 kilometers coastline has supported the nation's growth for centuries, providing livelihoods to millions of people. However, the escalating threat of marine litter, including plastic waste and persistent organic pollutants, POPs, now poses a critical challenge to these fragile ocean ecosystems. To address this growing crisis, under the umbrella of the India-Norway Marine Pollution Initiative, the INOPOL project was established, a comprehensive framework designed to translate scientific research into evidence-based policy action. Aligned with the Honorable Prime Minister's vision of phasing out single-use plastics and the national priorities of Samudra Manthan, Deep Ocean Mission, Swachh Bharat Mission, and the Clean Ganga Mission, and supported by the Royal Norwegian Embassy in New Delhi, INOPOL has systematically built strong institutional partnerships. Since its inception, the project has strengthened national understanding of riverine plastic pollution and its interlinkages with persistent organic pollutants, POPs. Beginning with studies on the Tapi and Daman-Ganga rivers in Gujarat in 2022, the initiative has expanded to develop deeper scientific understanding in the Kaveri River Basin in Tamil Nadu. INOPOL's success is anchored in the expertise of partner institutions, the Norwegian Institute of Water Research, NIVA, MuGamma Consultants, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, the Central Institute of Petrochemicals Engineering and Technology, CIPET, Toxics Link. The project's effectiveness is built on three fundamental pillars. First, institutional capacity building. INOPOL has systematically trained officials from the Gujarat, Tamil Nadu and other pollution control boards, several IITs, NITs, CSIR labs and earlier career researchers, while strengthening laboratory infrastructure at CIPET and SRM Institute of Science and Technology for the detection and analysis of macroplastics, microplastics and POPs. This includes the adoption of international best practices, scientific precision and standardized methodologies from Norway. Second, evidence-based research. INOPOL follows rigorous, data-driven scientific approaches, focusing on source identification and pollution tracking. The Kaveri River in Tamil Nadu serves as the primary case study, with systematic monitoring from riverbanks to coastal discharge points. This work aligns with Tamil Nadu's comprehensive efforts to address plastic and POPs pollution, leveraging state-level support to ensure that scientific findings translate directly into effective, sustainable environmental action. Third, multi-stakeholder engagement. The initiative recognizes that sustainable waste management requires inclusive participation. INOPOL fosters continuous dialogue and awareness among students, scientists, bureaucrats, and government officials, building a shared understanding of how macroplastics, microplastics and POPs infiltrate riverine and coastal ecosystems. Plastics in India's waste streams contribute to POPs either from the product themselves or through incomplete combustion in open dumps, resulting in exposure to various plastic particle sizes and POPs, many of which disrupt endocrine functions. We found that open burning sites and direct discharges are significant sources of these chemicals. Open burning is a potential source of POPs, and most POPs are semi-volatile and disperse in open burning hotspots. High temperatures in tropical climates cause main and secondary POP emissions. During monsoon, atmospheric deposition and surface runoff drain POPs into waterways. Over time, riverine silt and soil store POPs, especially heavier compounds. However, due to lesser residual time in the atmosphere of coastal cities, the impact is lesser compared to landlocked cities. Coastal cities are majorly influenced by the oceanic air mass cleansing effect. In 2022 to 2023, Tamil Nadu generated 19% of India's plastic waste, totaling approximately 7.8 lakh tons annually. Although collection rates are high, leakage to river persists, with food packaging and banned thin bags dominating the Kaveri Basin. 2.4% of items detected in research represented banned SUP items. This indicates general compliance, although monitoring data prior to the ban is lacking. The India-Norway collaboration through INOPOL has established a model to understand and address emerging threats of plastic pollution and persistent organic pollutants in marine ecosystems. Through strengthened laboratory capabilities, skilled human resources, adoption of international best practices, and the integration of advanced Norwegian technologies for comprehensive river monitoring, The initiative demonstrates how the strength of the Indo-Norwegian partnership can safeguard ocean ecosystems, advance a sustainable blue economy, and contribute meaningfully to India's vision of Viksit Bharat, a developed, environmentally sustainable nation for future generations. Tamil Nadu is a very progressive state and has led the country through government initiatives and citizen partnership. Let us join hands in furthering safe plastic and chemical waste management practices in Tamil Nadu for a healthy and prosperous society.
Yes, and now we'll be launching the reports, which will be also accessible, publicly accessible to everyone. I think we have a few physical copies here, but may I invite, yeah, and there's a QR code actually, so you can actually access it. So may I invite Neha to... Yeah, and may I request Mr. Satish Sina from Toxics Link to come also forward for the launch of the report, and Professor Paromita, and also Smita from CPAT. So these have been our institutional contact points for all of the partner organizations.
Thanks everyone. These two reports, Reducing Plastic Pollution in Tamil Nadu, it's a strategy document, and Managing Persistent Organic Pollutants in Tamil Nadu, it's an action plan. So this is a labor of love by all 5 institutions and world-class scientists. I'm sure you will find this very, very useful. As already mentioned, it's not just Tamil Nadu, but most of our coastal states have this issue of plastic leaking into the marine system and impacting the marine ecosystem adversely. So we have some physical copies, and there is a sheet with QR codes. Please scan it and please download the soft copy of the reports. Thank you so much. I hope MRCC and other institutions, agencies will find it really useful. Thank you.
So, honorable dignitaries and distinguished guests, good afternoon to all of you. So, I have to convey my sincere thanks for the government of Norway and this all these distinguished people to organize such a event, which is very crucial in today's moment. We are all aware about how important is the impact of plastic pollution in all over the country, not only in India, all over the country, how it is affecting the common man's life, environment, everything. So that is the reason I want to first convey my sincere thanks for organizing today such a nice event, and I just have not gone through it detailed, but it appears to be going through the content itself, it's showing it will be very useful for the ministry also and others also for policy making and all these things. For anyway, this moment I want to give just message on behalf of the ministry. So actually we need there's a need of necessary cooperation between all the policy making and scientists and all the stakeholders like consumers, producers, and more important than this is the public participation. So without public participation, no public policy will be the successful one. So Government of India is already took lot of initiatives to control how the single-use plastic, and we already signed Stockholm Convention. We are taking lot of measures. Recently we took a lot of measures in EPR, the extended producer responsibility. The portal is getting developed. All these things within few months, 1 or 2 months, it is going to create a lot of changes. And ministry is also constantly doing lot of. We are interacting with the people like you, all the stakeholders. We are taking lot of initiatives. You may all aware about it. So at this moment, I convey that my heartiest congratulations and best wishes on behalf of the ministry. Thank you very much.
May I request Dr. Girija to facilitate our guest? Neha, can you bring in the other one? May I request Hans to facilitate Dr. Girija? May I request Neha to restart the video again now? Thank you, Neha.
The catchment of the Kaveri River, originating in the Western Ghats, the river spans approximately 800 kilometers in length and flows eastward through the states of Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and the Union Territory of Puducherry before discharging into the Bay of Bengal. This map shows the Kaveri River catchment within Tamil Nadu and the 6 locations selected for macroplastic sampling. This catchment-based approach allowed us to capture spatial variations in macroplastic inputs and transport processes across the river system. Across 6 strategic locations, a multifaceted monitoring protocol was deployed. By synchronizing visual surveillance, net sampling, and riverbank survey, the study captured the full spectrum of macroplastic dynamics, whether buoyant, suspended in the flow, or deposited along the banks. Our preliminary INOPOL findings show that dominant categories of macroplastics seen across the methods comprise plastic bags, often with contents, food packaging, sachets and cleaning, cosmetics packaging, which is likely derived from household waste. The total proportion of SUP items, excluding plastic bags, was 2.4%, indicating relatively satisfactory compliance with the ban for non-carrier bag items. Sampling for microplastics was conducted in 2 contrasting seasons. In February 2024, 13 sites were sampled under low-flow dry conditions from upstream to downstream of the river. In November 2024, 6 bridge-based sites were sampled. After field sampling, river water samples were transported to the laboratory for microplastics extraction. Before starting the procedure, strict quality control measures were followed by wearing nitrile gloves and laboratory coats, and thoroughly cleaning all glassware to prevent contamination. The extraction process was carried out following the ISO 24187 protocol. First, the water samples were sieved to remove large debris. A saturated salt solution was then prepared for density separation. The sieved samples were transferred into a separating funnel containing the salt solution and left undisturbed overnight, allowing plastic particles to float to the surface. The floating fraction was subsequently collected and filtered using vacuum filtration. Silicon filter papers were used for microfilter analysis, while glass fiber filters were used for GCMM.
May we have the POPs video?
Yeah, can we just wait for a second
Oh,
and
okay, sure,
set
sure.
the context? Yeah. Thank you so much. This has been a really, really very rigorous work by NIVA, CPET, and all the other partners, but primarily by NIVA and CPET, who have been instrumental in working towards the plastic pollution, macroplastics as well as microplastic. And this is basically done from the laboratories research which we have conducted. We have another video on persistent organic pollutants which will be played shortly. But as you know now, it's not anymore paper-based policy. It is more of a digital, we are in the digital revolution. So it's very important that our findings are brought up in a digital format so that it can be disseminated faster and longer. So that's why we have prepared these videos. I hope you enjoy it and get some learnings out of it. Now may I request colleague Neha to kindly share the other video. Thank you. Then we'll move towards the panel discussion. Thank you.
Persistent organic pollutants, or POPs, are often called forever chemicals. They do not break down and can travel large distances, even across continents. They accumulate silently in soil, water, wildlife, and ultimately in us. India, as a signatory to the Stockholm Convention, has committed to controlling these chemicals. The India-Norway Cooperation Project on Capacity Building for Reducing Plastic and Chemical Pollution in India, dubbed INOPOL, is part of the India-Norway Joint Marine Pollution Initiative and funded by the Royal Norwegian Embassy in New Delhi. INOPOL was established to understand where these pollutants exist in the Indian environment and how they move through ecosystems. The three Indian states of Gujarat, Uttarakhand, and Tamil Nadu were chosen for the implementation of the INOPOL project. POPs in the Daman, Ganga, Tapi, and Kaweri riverine ecosystems were studied from 2020 to 2025. The Norwegian Institute for Water Research, NIVA, Central Institute for Petrochemicals Engineering and Technology, CPET, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, MuGamma Consultants, and Toxics Link are lead partners in the INOPOL project. As an INOPOL project partner, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Katankulatur, is one of the premier institutions in India undertaking POPs research through its state-of-the-art Center for Research in Environment, Sustainability Advocacy, and Climate Change, REACH. Measuring POPs is not routine science. Even a billionth of a gram can matter. To ensure global credibility, SRMIST and NIVA conducted interlaboratory calibration exercises. Every sample, every reading, was validated against rigorous international standards. This ensured that INOPOL project data was not just collected, it could be trusted. In Tamil Nadu, the INOPOL project established the first baseline assessment for POPs in the Kaveri River, identifying open burning and urban discharges as the main contributors for the POP load.
When it comes to the PFAS, yes, the rain season had slightly higher concentration, and especially the Nuyal stretch having overloading of PFC and PFSA both, and we are suspecting it could be because of the industrial discharges. And in the wet season, the most important factor could have been also the surface runoff as a strong point. Coming to the PBD is the interesting part is there were certain hotspots, not associated with industries, but also handling with the waste, especially the open burning or open discharge. To come with the fact with the pesticides, yes, PPDDT was higher if looking at the diagnostic ratio. And this also indicates the use of DDT, most likely for vector control programs. Now I would like to show you that we have done PBDs in the atmospheric PBDs, the gaseous phase, whatever we could take up with the puff pass. Tamil Nadu, the concentrations were much higher compared to Uttarakhand, though at the same time, Uttarakhand, the median value is slightly higher over Tamil Nadu. This one reason could be why we are seeing this atmospheric peak higher is also because in Tamil Nadu there is a good quanta of oceanic air mass that cleanses the air when compared to Uttarakhand. The major factors that bring in these chemicals, a cocktail of chemicals, due to leaching from the plastic litter, and most importantly, when we are openly burning the waste from in open dumps or even in a small manner in near any households. That releases a cocktail of these chemicals.
For the first time, states received locally generated scientific data on these hazardous chemicals. Evidence-based action plans for the management of POPs were created in a specialized manner for the state-specific context. The INOPOL project's outputs extended beyond reports, producing policy briefs, action plans, academic publications, technical guidance for managing POPs in India. SRMIST, in collaboration with NIVA, trained officials from multiple pollution control boards in advanced POPs sampling and analysis by developing and administering hands-on field and laboratory training programs. The INOPOL project has transformed scattered concern about POPs into structured knowledge rooted in the Indian context, building grassroots-level capability and sustaining it into the future by creating the next generation of environmental professionals. The INOPOL project is a strong step towards a POPs-free India.
Thank you. That was a very interesting video, and thanks to NIVA again, NIVA and SRM for preparing this video. Thanks to Toxics Link also being part of it. So we have now eminent experts. They are not 2%, world's 2% scientists, but I would put them as world's 1% scientists. They have huge track record of research. A brief introduction about each of them. And Cecil, Dr. Cecil, she's a PhD in soil biogeochemistry, working with fate of POPs, the aquatic environment, and linkages between soil and water. She's a senior research scientist at NIVA, Norwegian Institute for Water Research. She's working with industry and Norwegian Environmental Agency. She has worked with implementation of EU Water Framework Directive and POPs in Norway. She has written several guidelines on monitoring of POPs related to industry, landfill, and diffuse pollution. Dr. Rachel, she's a senior research scientist at NIVA. She's a physical geographer with over a decade of experience in plastic pollution research. She specializes in the fate and transport of both macro and microplastics in freshwater and soil environment, investigating the mechanistic underpinnings behind the mobilization and accumulation processes. She also has strong expertise in monitoring of macroplastics, particularly in South and Southeastern Asian river system, adapting methods to the local context in each place. This is the basis of her role in INOPOL project, leading to the work package on plastics. Professor Paramita Chakravarti, she is the professor and head of Center for Research in Environment, Sustainability, Advocacy and Climate Change at SRM Institute of Science and Technology. She's one of the leading experts in India focusing on legacy and new persistent organic pollutants and other emerging contaminants. Dr. Chakravarti has worked extensively on multimedia movement and remediation of micropollutants. She has extensively worked on transboundary rivers such as Ganga and Brahmaputra. She has over 116 journal publications and published over 20 plus book chapters and 4 edited books on POPs and plastics. Dr. Smita Mohanty, she is the Principal Director and Head at CPET, Bhubaneswar, with 22 years of experience in research in the area of polymers and plastic. She is the author of 9 books and more than 200 plus international publications and 6 patents. We have Piyush is a senior program coordinator of the Chemical and Health Program at Toxics Link, which is a Delhi-based environmental research and advocacy organization. He has expertise in POPs, heavy metals, and endocrine disrupting chemicals. He is deeply involved in Stockholm Convention on POPs and Global Chemical Framework. He has education and post-graduation in environmental toxicology and law. And I am Girija Bharat. I have a PhD in chemistry on water quality and a postdoc on persistent organic pollutants, and have worked in 7-8 riverine systems across the world in USA, Georgia, India. That's about us, and we form a very strong team, and together we have a very promising future ahead. So I have few questions. I'll have to skip some questions because we just have 25 minutes for this panel discussion. Some of the questions I am directly asking all of you. May I ask Cecil the first question? Since there is a lot of discussion on PFAS, and India is also thinking of developing standards, drinking water standards. We have in the recent past, we have developed a report on PFAS in drinking water, and we have seen that India doesn't have any PFAS regulation yet, and request to MOFCC, because I'm also, and several of us are BIS experts, so we can take it further because we don't have any PFAS standards in India, and this is a very good opportunity that we bring this to the government of India's understanding that it is need of the hour. So Cecil is an expert on PFAS. I would request Cecil, why is it important to increase the focus on PFAS, Cecil? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. PFAS is a chemical of global concern. It's threatening the human health and the environment, and it's one group of substances that has been placed on market that is extremely persistent. It's the true forever chemical. It's far more persistent than the traditional POPs. And for human, the major route of exposure is through food and drinking water. The European Commission is expecting to use 471 million lakhs rupee until 2050 on human health issues caused by PFAS, cleaning of drinking water, and remediation of soil. And finally, loss of ecosystem services through PFAS contamination in the aquatic water. Today, knowledge about PFAS in India is truly missing. Regulation guidelines for PFAS in drinking water is missing, and there is not a national monitoring network for PFAS in drinking water, and even limits for drinking water permissible levels is needed, and also infrastructure like laboratory for analyzing the concentration of PFAS, because you cannot use the equipment used for traditional POPs. And there's probably a need for drinking water treatment technology as well to remove the PFAS. And I will also recommend the report which was published in this INOPOL project about PFAS. This will give you a good introduction to PFAS, why it is very important, findings from India, and recommendation for future work in India. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Rachel, the next question is, how can riverine monitoring help us to address plastic pollution? You have done extensive work, standing hours together from 7:30 in the morning to maybe 7:30 in the evening. Yeah, Kaveri. So over to you now.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, so monitoring is a very important component to really understand the levels, the sources, the fate and typologies of the plastic pollution that we see in the environment. Plastic pollution is not just one thing, one entity, it's a large umbrella term covering many different particle sizes, from plastic bottles and bags that we can hold in our hands, all the way down to microplastics and nanoplastics that obviously are much popularized. We need to monitor these types of plastic pollution in the environment and to really understand how we can effectively and efficiently reduce them. It's really important for policy to be based on this really scientific-based understanding of sources, typologies of plastic to actually tailor solutions appropriately. With this monitoring, we can understand typological sources, but also spatio-temporal sources that can really help us to target action in the specific times and places in terms of both remediation and mitigation to try and effectively reduce the plastic that is leaked to the environment. Also, the monitoring, it takes a little time to get set up, but it then can be run quite effectively. And we have a range of different methods that we use, including a visual observation method, which requires no equipment and is relatively cheap and easy to run. This allows us to fill in lots of data points and tell us lots about how plastic moves through our rivers, where it enters and where it ends up. It's important to note that this monitoring is far, far cheaper in terms of time and cost perspective than applying policy that doesn't have this monitoring-based background. It's much better to understand the sources and processes that the plastic in our rivers that enters the oceans goes through, so we can actually save money, save time, and save our societies from this pollution issue.
Great, thanks. Parvita, over to you. Experience from INOPOL project. Are the POPs level in Kaveri River really alarming? We can focus on specific POPs.
Yes, we have three broad categories that we targeted. The pesticidal POPs, PFOS, and then also flame retardants like polybrominated diphenyl ethers. When we see the Kaveri levels that was checked like years before, the levels are increasing in terms of PFOS. Of course, these levels, the PBDs, like the flame retardants or pesticides, are much lesser compared to what we have seen in Tapi and Damanganga in Gujarat, and also other rivers in the country. But PFOS levels is something that we need to think about because it is on an increasing trend, and we see that wet season eventually is much higher concentration. Yeah.
Thanks, Paramita. We have so much of discussion about microplastics that every day there is a newspaper item with alarming results. So, Smita, the next question is for you. What are the standard test protocols for identifying microplastics, and what are the methods to prevent microplastics generation in the environment?
So basically these microplastics, when it is below 5 mm, which we classify, so you need to, first is the sampling method should be done meticulously. You have to check that the sampling is being carried out with a non-plastic item, so there is no interference, and there is already a defined internationally available ISO standard, which we have mentioned in the video as well, 24187. In that standard, there are three methods by which you can determine. First is the micro FTIR, which we recommend to all the Indian laboratories because majority of them, they have the FTIR technique for identification of the plastics. If you attach a microscope with it, then you can identify, but the protocols needs to be followed. Other than that, if you have a Raman, like many of the labs nowadays, they are having advanced characterization facilities. So they have Raman and Pyro GC. That also we recommend that you can go for detecting the microplastics because otherwise it creates a lot of confusion and lot of data sheets also are misleading. That is one of the things which we recommend. Sampling is the most important part, like how you are going to sample, whether it is a soil sample, compost sample, or a water sample. So those sampling aspects needs to be monitored, and it has been very clearly mentioned in the ISO standard. And as per our regulation, always BIS adopts the ISO standards. So that ISO standards will be shortly getting adopted by BIS, because CPIT being the leading plastic institution, petrochemical institution in the country, we recommend to follow those standard protocols. As regards how you can control, you can reduce the microplastic formation, so monitoring is essential. As Dr. Rachel has already highlighted, we need to understand what are the carrier, because these macroplastics are the carrier of towards the oceans, and ultimately over the time after aging these are converted to microplastics. So we need to see the practical methods, how we have to prevent it, how we have to reduce it, with what mechanism. First is go for littering potential needs to be identified. Government has already taken steps like 19 different categories they have been banned. I think some more should also, like whatever it is not easier to pick up by the recyclers, those things needs to be established. Littering, awareness among the citizens, citizen participation, the recycling and circular economy, those fundamental principles needs to be practiced, so that we can raise the awareness and practically we can reduce some of the things. Thank you.
Thanks, Smita. Over to you, Piyush. You have been working in the regulatory aspects of POPs, and your perspectives are quite vast, because you have been representing India in Geneva and several other conferences and Stockholm Convention, etc. So the next question is, what's the perspective of chemical management in the context of POPs in India?
Thank you. I think, as a consortium, as a toxic link, as an organization, we believe that India should grow, and chemicals is a very essential part of this economy, and both for the production as well as the consumptions. Like, we cannot have these products without the chemicals. At the same time, as we know that, there are lots of developments happening, like we have a Stockholm Convention on POPs, we have Global Chemical Framework, which is also non-binding, and there is happening, that is plastic treaty. So in this context, I think we need to see the global perspective, because India has to go in the global place. At the same time, we are doing production, consumption, but we need to manage it properly. We have certain, like we have a part of the Stockholm Convention, we have ratified 19 POPs, whereas globally, if you see, we have around 39 POPs. So these are the some of the challenges from the management perspective, how to see in the larger picture and what are the need for the country, and so we need to build on that. Like I'll talk about, we are talking now about the global chemical framework based on the REACH regulations which Europe has come up long time back. But at the same time, most of the emerging economy, which are the big producers of the chemicals as well as the consumers, like Thailand, China, Korea, they have come up with their own chemical regulations. So in that context, I see that we need to, we need to emerge as a chemicals production as well as an export hub, but at the same time, we need to have a better management system in place, so that it will not, it will at least minimize the risks of environment and human health. All these products, all these global chemical framework regulations and Stockholm conventions are largely looking into this environment and human health into the consideration. So we need to see that perspective, for India also, have a better chemical management in place.
Thanks, Piyush. Well, India is now in the process of drafting the National Implementation Plan, NIP2, the second one, which NIDI is leading. MRCC is supporting that. And through this project which we are doing, we are feeding data, credible data, to NIDI's Stockholm Convention Region Center for updation of the National Implementation Plan. Just for your information, not just that for the plastic one, we have been also involved in giving recommendations through the INOPOL project on plastic waste management rules, the last one 2021, 22, etc., through the INOPOL project. So we are trying to move the needle, whatever we can do through our project, and how much ever credible data, because the data credibility is an issue in India. So we are trying to see that the standardized protocols and standardized monitoring framework, and we do generate credible data. So next question is to Rachel. Rachel, what do the data tell us about single-use plastic ban compliance?
Thank you very much. Yeah, we saw this get mentioned in a couple of the videos that we extracted from our macroplastic monitoring data, the items that are included in the SUP bans to have an idea about the compliance towards these bans. And you saw this number 2.4%, and that includes all of the sort of plastic items except for plastic bags, for example, Q-tips, balloon sticks, wrappers around confectionery, etc., etc. It's important to note that we didn't start the monitoring before these bans came into place, just the timing of the project and the timing of these bans, so we don't know how much was in the environment beforehand. But this 2.4% indicates relatively good compliance, and it's great that these items that are easy to replace or reduce in our day-to-day lives are representing such a low proportion of the contamination that we're seeing in the Kaveri River. You might have noticed that there was this mention of plastic bags. That's because the ban is related to their thickness, and some of our methods prevented us from being able to actually measure the thickness of each bag that we encountered. To address this, we did a small survey in our third sampling campaign, where we tested some new bags that we saw available for purchase, and also some bags that we collected along riverbanks and in the river network. We actually saw that all of these were below the thickness required, so technically are contributing against the ban. But we don't really know how this relates to all of the plastic bags that we're seeing in the water. But it points towards the need for some additional mechanisms to bring the ban that's been successful for these other SUP items also into place for moving towards thicker plastic bags as well.
Indeed, it was really encouraging to see that the banned items were, the frequency of banned items were much, much less. So that was very welcome recommendation which the Tamil Nadu government, when we met Ms. Supriya Sahu, she was very happy to hear that the banned items are, the frequency of banned items are much less. So this type of data is what they're actually looking forward to. So coming back to the plastic discussion, may I request Smita, what are the microplastic types that we have encountered in the Kaveri catchment?
The polyolefin category, that is PE and PP. Apart from that, PET also comes in. Then we have polystyrene also. So polystyrene is nothing but your styrofoam, because the foams and other things which are being extensively used for packing, those items are found. PET, I think India is quite, PET bottles recycling has become a major success story in Indian but the MLPs, like the multi-layered, which also constitutes of PET, and PET has been some of the like confectionaries and gutka and all these things, PET is being extensively used. So PET also we noticed, and then P and PP. So these are the dominant plastics which we found it in the microplastic form, and that is the thing.
Thanks, Smita. Cecil, back to the discussion on PFAS. So can you please name 3 important issues concerning PFAS, since you have worked a lot on aquatic environment, be it INOPOL or some other projects also which you have been doing at NIVA?
Yeah, PFAS are quite different from other traditional POPs. They are more mobile. They have this hydrophilic part and one hydrophobic tail, and they can move very easily from soil to groundwater. The other traditional POPs, they are not that mobile, and the smaller PFAS, they can percolate through the soil and end up in drinking water at high concentration. And today, the permissible levels in drinking water all over the world is constantly decreasing, because there's so much more knowledge about the toxicity of the substances. So these permissible levels in drinking water is constantly declining because of this knowledge about PFAS. And for traditional POPs, the major route for human exposure is through food, but for PFAS, the drinking water is a substantial source of PFAS to the human body. So this is a kind of different persistent organic pollutants. It's the true pollutants, and you can monitoring it in the water, in the sediment, and biota. For traditional POPs, you're usually monitoring those substances mainly in biota or sediments. Some of the POPs, like like the pesticides, they are a bit more mobile, and then they can usually be monitored in water, but the PFAS, you find them in all 3 compartments. Yeah.
Thanks, Cecil. So as part of this, we have, as I mentioned earlier also, we build the capacity, we try to build the capacity of pollution control boards at state level, central level, and yesterday we had a stakeholder consultation meeting at Uttarakhand, Dehradun, and state pollution control board colleagues had come, the different levels, thanks to Toxics Link and its leadership for organizing such a wonderful stakeholder consultation. In fact, several pollution control boards, they are not aware of POPs. So POPs is something very niche. When I started my work in 2009 in India, when people would ask, why POPs, why not MOMs? That was the level of understanding on POPs. So now people know what POPs is. There is discussion in boardrooms, there is discussion in the ministry, there is discussion and policy briefs that we bring out. The CPCB and MOECC, they invite us for discussion. So that's a very, very good welcome step that we are seeing in India. From 2009, what we saw in 2026, needle has definitely moved a bit. Thanks to Norwegian Embassy for the support that we have been able to gather and garner this kind of a support in the ministry. And there is still a long way because they are carcinogenic. We need to understand that they are invisible, silent killers. They invade our house. We are not aware of it, and yet we discuss about health issues, health hazards. Punjab has issues, several millions of people impacted by cancer. We know there is evidence of cancer linkage with POPs. So there is a lot we can do about this. So in the meantime, we had also collected samples from Uttarakhand, Dehradun and different places, all through Uttarakhand. This passive air samplers, we collected samples and analyzed. Paramita's labs, SRV University, collected samples. And I would request Paramita to share your thoughts on that. Why atmospheric POPs in Kaveri River Basin and Uttarakhand River region are having similar results.
Yeah, actually, before we understand that why the atmospheric POPs are similar, what we see is that most of these POPs, excluding PFOS, I would say, that, say for example, the pesticidal POPs or even the flame retardants, we are seeing them mostly high in the open burning areas. And it is also because when we are openly burning a mixture of waste, which also has plastics, not only normal plastics, even the electric wires, the cables, the casings, and several other products like the fishing nets, which are made up of recycled plastics. So it is one thing that plastics that are there, the chemicals there inside the plastics, and then again when we burn them, something new is produced. And most of these chemicals, which are semi-volatile in nature, we can capture in the atmosphere. Now what happened is, when we did the sampling, this is a passive air sampler. I think I would suggest everybody, and we are suggesting from this project, all the Pollution Control Board, to use very spatio-temporally a cost-effective device like 2 steel bowls. You can deploy anywhere across the country, and you don't need any electricity to run it, but you get a capturing hotspot. But now what we saw is that along the Kaveri River Basin, the atmospheric concentration, the median value, is almost similar to what we are seeing in Uttarakhand during the same time of the year. Now one thing definitely is there that if you consider Tamil Nadu, being the population, the amount of quantity of plastic waste being generated, and then what is coming to the open dumps, we are seeing that in the soil or in the sediment or in the water, the concentrations are much higher. Whereas in the atmospheric concentration is lesser or similar or equal is because when a city is surrounded by ocean, there is cleansing of air mass. So when the cleansing of air mass happens, then the air is much more cleaner compared to a high altitude region in Uttarakhand, where condensation is also a process. Like it's a cold climate, the deposition can happen, and it can have even more serious health impact. I'll just add one point. We are sitting in Delhi. There was a report that it is saying that the lifespan in Delhi is reducing by 12.3 years. In Chennai, it is 2.3 years. And when the reason also being, when it is a landlocked city, it is a cold climate region, the exposure, the residual mass of the air particle is even more. So not only we see what level we have, but how much time it is there to impact the health. That is also important. So this is where we see both the cases, even though there are lesser emission sources, but the concentration levels can be affected by this surrounding or the topography of the system. Yeah.
Thanks, Paramita. Piyush, some policy level questions to you. So, INOPOL project, how is it trying to address these challenges, and what is the way forward considering future challenges for India?
I think always, government of India, even the Prime Minister Modi ji talks about the corporate federalism. That's a very critical aspect where this INOPOL project try to address. We have a central regulation in place, but if you go, unless and until the implementation lies with the state government, and we have a clear division of power, so that INOPOL, this the beauty of this. I believe that INOPOL project, at least we go into the micro level, state level, to build their capacity, understanding, bringing new informations, so that they can be state, their own action plan can be created. Like I as organizations also believe that why not state their own action plan on POPs or chemicals. Like Gujarat and Tamil Nadu, they are highly industrialized, and if we compare the level of economy, they are also very much similar to Germany and maybe Norway. They are growing. So this project at least try to bridge that gaps, information gap at the state level. Yesterday we are doing this meeting in Uttarakhand and this pollution control board. Honestly, they come out that we came to know about the first time here, and we have a great understanding about the issue now. So I think through this INOPOL we try to bridge that gap. We have to build capacity of all the stakeholders. Many scientists have been trained from the Tamil Nadu and Gujarat. So and also industry. We always believe that industry is the key stakeholders. We even in Gujarat we did stakeholder consultation with the industry participation. We have a direct meeting with the SIAM, also Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturers Association. Yesterday lots of industries were there because they have to implement. So I believe that we also in the future INOPOL we will go into the micro level, to disseminate the information to the right stakeholders, to bring new data, so that finally it is the state. We believe that they need to act. Center can have a limited roles. They can come up with a NIP page also, very limited spheres because they have limited resources. But through this INOPOL, I think will able to bridge that gaps, and state, when the state can have their better action plan and they will be ready, I think India will have a better system in place for the environment and human health. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Piyush. And since we worked in Gujarat in the past, now we are just concluding our work in Tamil Nadu. Not exactly concluding, because Tamil Nadu government has asked us to make a presentation of the plastic waste strategy report and the POPs action plan to the chief secretary, and they will see how our recommendations can be embedded in the system. So through our work we are trying, we will plan soon about the Tamil Nadu visit. So through our research, we are trying to build that kind of a buy-in by the government. If the buy-in is not there, the research is not just a paper report on the table. We need to understand how we can make that influence in the policy circles in different states that we are working. So with that, my clock is ticking. I know we are, I'm standing between all of us and lunch. So I would conclude, and many thanks to all the panelists for your wonderful thoughts, and and I would request Satish ji to kindly come on stage and give us the final word to us. Over to you, Satish ji.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I've also been part of the project, so just like to sum up the findings and what the work we have been doing for the last 7 years. It's been a huge amount of data, huge amount of research that has been undertaken by all of us. And I think the principal objective when we started out was to get out more granulated data on terms of marine pollution, both on accounts of chemicals and on plastics. And if you look at the kind of work that we have undertaken in the last 7 years, the data very clearly reinforces and acknowledges the role of both chemicals and plastics in the kind of pollution that you see in oceans today. It does give you an indication as to what the connect between plastics and chemicals. That also is very well brought out for much of the work that has been undertaken over the last 7 years. Many of us don't very well connect or make this interconnection between plastics and chemicals and its effect on marine pollution. Now that's one thing that is very, very clearly illustrated in this whole research that has been taken in the river systems of India, principally two rivers, and the third one also in some way. One is the Kaveri Basin and one is the industrial belt of Surat. So I think these are two. The third thing that I would like to say is about the kind of capacity that we are trying to build in the institutions, also in the regulatory regime of the country. That's been a very, very, it's been a gap in the system that we don't find the kind of knowledge that we expect from the regulatory regime, also the kind of testing facilities that we have in the country, the infrastructure for testing facility. And this study clearly illustrates that point also very clearly, that we need to have better both knowledge on testing capacity and infrastructure. I think both of these are very critical for a country like India and the kind of length and breadth that we have across. The third thing that comes to mind is also about look at the data from different states. If you very closely look at it, you don't find much of a difference between Gujarat and Tamil Nadu. There are a lot of similarities and there are some amount of dissimilarities, which I think Paramita very clearly brought out. But basically, if you look at the data, you find, and if you look at Uttarakhand also, a snapshot of Uttarakhand also, you will find that many of the hypotheses that people have been talking about is being acknowledged and reinforced in this. There's another hypothesis that I like to very quickly mention is about POPs having affinity to colder climates, and that you see it in Uttarakhand so very clearly reinstated here at this point. So I think these are very significant findings that come out, but the data gives you the symptoms. The problem is somewhere else. I think we need to understand where the problems are. If you're talking about the quality of river system or the surface water, they say that it is not good. What are the causative aspects of it? I think we need to start looking at that. Can this data give you some more? If you look at the data, analyze the data very carefully, does it state as to what are kind of pollutants, where is the point source, which are those kind of respective industry? Can you identify them? Can you start taking action on those? I think this data speaks a lot. It gives you the wealth of knowledge that we all are looking at. And it is for us now, how do we utilize this data? One is policy aspects, but beyond policy, I think we need to hear the voices of people, voices from the ground. I was there in Uttarakhand yesterday, Dehradun, and you listen to people, they said, and they were not pollution control board officials, they were officials and citizens from across the board. They said, we never knew about this. We don't know what you're talking about. And you have broken it down for us, and now we see that there is a serious concern. Unless you are able to create this kind of understanding and resonance among people, it's very hard to find answers. So I think that's the takeaway. I think we have a lot of work to do, and another point that I thought to mention that you have data from 3 different corners of the country. You are from the north, Uttarakhand, you're looking at it. You are from the west, Surat, and you are from the south. Part which is missing here is east. I think that's something that we all need to very clearly learn and see that if you want to complete the map of India, you need to have some more data from the eastern part of the country, and you have very important rivers in the eastern part of the country. So look at it. I'm just saying that it's an immense amount of work. We have really struggled very hard to get this kind of data out, and many of the hypotheses, but many of the experts had, they get reinforced and absolutely proven in this kind of data sets that we have. So I'll just sum up by saying that it's a work which is ongoing, and we need to continue to work. And I look at you all when you're sitting in this room, which is full, and this is the kind of encouragement that many of us actually require. You are our support, and we would like to share this information with all of you, and please spread it out for us. You are the most, I would say, you are the converted. You are the people who are knowledgeable, but there are people outside the room who are not knowledgeable on the subject. It's for all of us to come together and spread this to across the country. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Satishji. I'm really encouraged to see so many young scholars, young students here. I'm sure they will be ambassador of our project to the outside world, and we will take the findings of this project far and wide. Citizen science is something we will definitely have to have more discussion on, and this is also part of the citizen science. Thanks once again to all of you for having come and been part of our project discussion. Thanks so much. Thanks.
Vivek, the rest of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
team as well,
please.
Please join us.
Yeah, please. Everybody, please. Please join us. You're all part of it. Please come.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.